All right. New video concept. This is our first one of it. We are boredom sated. I'm Jonathan. This is Boris. What we're doing right now is we are going to have a class discussion for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where both of us, what we did is we made a character class, and in that character class we leveled it up to level 10. We did not tell each other what we were building or how we were building it. The goal was to make something optimized and fun to play at the same time. So not just necessarily the single most basic thing,
but we did decide on the character class. We chose
the character class, but we didn't choose. Right. We did not choose our ancestry. We did not choose our build. We did not discuss it much beforehand. Before building it, we did not discuss it at all. So that's what we're going to go ahead and start with. I'm going to say some of my basics. He'll say some of his basics, and we'll move forward from there. So to start, we've got to see what ancestry we picked. I went with being a half-elf.
I went with being a gnome.
So obviously, big difference right there. Now, what kind of gnome did you end up making?
Actually, I went with the Fae ancestry.
Why did you do that?
Because they do get the magical aspects, and later on I do get Fairy Fire and can make myself invisible.
See, now that's really cool, and that's a good reason to take it. The reason why I went with half-elf is because of the fact that I wanted to be able to take the human aspect, which gets me an extra class feat at level 1, which really helps for my build. And I can also go into some of the elf stuff, because one of the elf feats that I took was being able to get a level 1 arcane cantrip that I can cast as a ranger.
Right.
There's a lot of versatility in there, and the human makes for a lot of versatility.
Yes.
So let's talk about our ancestry feats. That way we can get through that, and then we'll go to our ranger stuff.
Sure. So the first one, because I wanted those magical abilities, was First World Magic.
First World Magic. My first level one?
Well, it gives me the cantrip.
Yeah, so it gives you the cantrip, and which cantrip did you take with that?
I went with the Primal, because you can take it from Primal, and it's the one that enhances, lets you communicate with animals.
Okay, see, communicate with animals, a nice useful one, especially for a ranger. What I did with my level 1 was take the Natural Ambition feat, which allows me to take an extra level 1 class feat. And I will discuss that once we get to class feats, which one I took.
Right.
At level 5, what did you take?
Well, I also, at level 5, I took I went with the gnome weapons for first also, from first.
Yeah,
so
that's
the gnome weapon familiarity.
Yeah, see, I also took a first, but I took a first elf one.
Right.
And I got the arcane power.
Right.
What the feat is actually called, I don't remember. The arcane power, basically it lets me choose not first, because I keep saying that. It lets me choose a otherworldly magic. Your elven magic manifests as a simple arcane spell. This gives you 1 cantrip from the arcane spell list. I thought this would be really fun, and the spell I chose was Shield. Because you'll see what it does, especially at later level. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
How about level 9?
First World Adept, which gives me the Fairy Fire and the Invisibility.
Yeah, which is really good. And honestly, that's probably something I should have done. But what I did instead was I went with the multi-talented human. I did not choose a multi-talented class, but what multi-talented class would I build? Most likely Druid.
Yes.
Because that would give me access to a couple of first level abilities, a couple of Druid spellcasting, and because of how high my wisdom is, it would be really effective.
Yeah.
Because I went with a traditional stat build for the Ranger.
Yes.
All right, so that's that. Let's say, what was our first level stat build? What did our first level stats end up being? This is another big difference between us.
So I'm a huge fan of not having any negatives. So I used my freebie to counter the negative of the gnome strength to utilize that. And then I threw it into, you get the charisma and you get the dex.
Just what is your final stat build for your level 1 character?
So for level 1, I ended up with 12, 16, 16, 12, 12, 12.
And remember, the order for this is strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. So he has a very, very balanced build.
Yes.
I went a little less balanced. My final stat build is I have a 10 strength, an 18 dex, 12 con, 12 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 10 charisma. My stats get a little bit more balanced by the time we got to level 10, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The other next thing that we want to go over really quickly, because just really quickly, is what background we chose.
Right.
What background did you pick?
I chose I believe it was the scout. Because it gave me an extra thing in dex, I believe, and the other one I chose was con again.
Okay. See, what I picked was, we'll give you a little bit of an insight as to how I built my character. I chose the Animal Whisperer.
Oh.
And obviously with Animal Whisperer, I went with dex and wisdom.
Nice.
So, that gets us through with our backgrounds and our level 1 stuff, but we now need to talk about what we picked for our level 1 class abilities and feat. Right. So, one of the first things you need to know about Ranger is that you have to pick what kind of Ranger you're going to be. You have to start with one of 3 possible skills before when you... So, as a Ranger, you get something called Hunter's Edge. When you hunt your prey, which is an action, you gain some benefits against your hunted prey. The benefits can be one of 3 things. You can be Flurry, which basically makes it so your multiple attack penalty goes down significantly. Instead of -5, -10, your multiple attack penalty is -3, -6. And with agile weapons, it goes down from 4/8 to -2, -4. So it has a very significant difference in making it so that it's much easier to hit with more attacks. Precision makes it so that your first hit that you do in each round does an additional D8 damage. This is great if you're only planning on making 1 attack in a round, or really good if you don't necessarily think you're going to be able to hit with more than 1 attack in a round. Especially if you're trying to do other things, only making 1 attack in a round is going to be pretty common. Right. And the third one is Outwit. What Outwit does is gives you a circumstance bonus on a few skills, and a bonus against AC against your prey's attacks. This one is probably the most role-playing effective one, but for an optimized build like we were talking about, not likely the choice we would make.
Right.
So what choice did you make?
I went with precision because the first attack for me, as you will see, it becomes very important.
Yes. I went with Flurry. And the reason why I went with Flurry will become very obvious once we discuss what we went with after that. Right. So, that goes over what our Hunter's Edge does. Now we need to discuss what we chose for our class feat, our first level class feat. Right. So what was your first level class feat?
So my first level class feat was Animal Companion.
That's right. He took an Animal Companion, and Animal Companion in this edition is very good. I took, because of the fact that I'm a human, I took 2 first level feats. So I have Animal Companion and Twin Takedown. Twin Takedown basically makes it so I can use 2 attacks in 1 action, which is kind of the point of Flurry. And Animal Companion is something we need to talk about a little bit, and I want to discuss it right now. Do you want to say what it is? Or?
So, yeah, you get an Animal Companion, and you chose. So I went with a Velociraptor.
I went with a cat. The main reason to go with the Animal Companion is part of this edition's biggest change.
Yeah.
Action economy. If you have an Animal Companion or a minion of some sort, what you can do is you can spend 1 action to command your animal, and the animal then gets 2 actions. So that is 1 for 2, which means action economy. Twin Takedown, 1 action, 2 attacks. Action economy. Yes. My build is completely based on the idea of having action economy.
I went with a bonus for the action economy and something unique a little bit later on that we'll discuss.
The Velociraptor is a really fun creature because of its special abilities, and obviously this means we both went Animal Companion, so a few of our feats are going to end up being the same.
Yes.
So that's our level 1. Next we got to talk about what our level 2 ability is. What did you take for level 2?
I went with Monster Warden in line with having a Velociraptor.
I went with Quick Draw. because since I'm going to be dual wielding, I need, in case I'm not prepared for a fight, I need to make sure I can get my weapons out while also moving at the same time. What Quick Draw does is allows you to take a move action and draw a weapon in the same action. So why did you take?
Sorry, it was Monster Hunter. My bad. I read the following.
So what does Monster Hunter do?
It lets you be able to recall knowledge and aspects for monsters. So, and it gives you a +1 attack benefit that you can assist to not just yourself but your allies.
That's really quite useful.
Yes.
So now we want to talk about our level 4 ability.
Yes. This is where I took Monster Warden.
So Monster Warden is a second level feat or
Yes.
a fourth level feat?
It's a second level feat.
So it's a second level feat, but it requires the first level feat to go.
Yes.
One of the things about Pathfinder 2, in case you didn't know, is that a lot of the feats have prerequisite feats you have to take beforehand.
Right.
So what does Monster Warden do?
So it grants now your allies not only a +1 bonus to hit from the first one, but it grants them a +1 saving throw and an AC against monster.
Now, is it all the time, or is it how long does that last?
No, it's only the next saving throw against that particular creature's and to your AC against that creature's next attack.
Still useful. It's the next attack against you, so it might still last a little while.
Yes.
My level 6, or my level 4 that I took was Favored Enemy. The reason I took Favored Enemy is, again, action economy. What Favored Enemy does is it allows you to choose from several different enemy types. The enemy types here would be animals, beasts, dragons, or fungi and plants. And if you choose that, you may make your hunt target action a free action. And you need hunt target to be able to get that extra damage or those extra attacks. So hunt target is something you have to do kind of in the first round.
Right.
So that's why I took that. All right, moving on to level 6. Here's where we're going to be saying the same thing.
I grabbed Mature Animal Companion.
Amazingly enough, so did I. The reason for this is, what does Mature Animal Companion do?
It increases the size of your animal and gives him bonuses to his stat line.
That is correct. It gives him, not only does it give plus... So the animal stats are not listed as 10, 12, 14, 16. It just says what their bonuses are.
Yeah.
So the bonuses when you become a mature animal, you go from small to medium.
Right. And
they also gain +1 or +2 to their strength, dex, con, and wisdom scores.
Right.
As well as their attack goes up by a die category. So not by a die category, but goes up by a die. So their 1d6 becomes 2d6, or 1d8 becomes 2d8. Because his base attack for his raptor is a d8 for his bite, whereas mine is a d6 for the cat.
And the other aspect is you don't have to now use 1 to get the 2. They will automatically get another action, of which could be either strike towards or attack the prey.
If you don't use so they basically, if you don't use your action in the first round, if you need to use more abilities, you can have them move closer to be able to get closer
or get one attack.
Now, here's the reason why he went with a gnome.
Right.
Sorry, I kind of gave it away there.
Yes.
His animal companion just became medium. He's small.
I can ride my Velociraptor into combat.
So what weapon did you choose to take?
A lance.
A lance. Now, the one thing here is it's strength to do a lance, and you only got a 12 strength at level 1.
Right.
But remember, at level 5, we have the ability to raise our stats. 4 stats go up by 2, or if you have a stat that's already an 18, it only goes up by 1.
Yep.
So at level 5, what did your stats end up being?
So at level 5, I jumped to a 14 strength, 18 dex, 18 con, 12 wisdom, 14 intelligence, 12 charisma.
I think you mixed up intelligence and wisdom.
You are correct.
So my stat line at level 5 is I still have a 10 strength. My dex went from an 18 to a 19. My con went from a 12 to a 14. My intelligence went from a 12 to a 14. My wisdom went from a 16 to an 18, and my charisma stayed a 10. So he can ride his mount now, which means he can use his animal companion to get both of them into combat in the first round.
Right.
The problem is the attacks with the lance don't do as much. Well, they don't hit as well, and they don't do as much damage because you have to use strength. But what does the lance do on the charge?
So if you move more than 10 feet on your mount, you do an extra d6.
So,
and if you crit, you do an extra d8. And then I took precision, so that it adds another d8. So I'm looking at 2d8 plus a d6 if I don't crit, and then 3d8 plus a d6.
Oh, it's more than that. Remember, if you crit, you double all your dice as well as getting that d8. That's right. On the hit, he's doing 2d8 plus a d6 plus his strength modifier of 2.
Right.
Right now, his strength will go up again when we get to 10.
Right.
Because, obviously.
Right.
But on the crit, he's doing 5d8 plus 2d6 plus 4.
Right.
That's a real big hit.
And remember, crits are no longer just a d20. You have to get a 20. Crits is 10 more than what you need to. So, most likely, if the person is of your level and you have the correct stat line, you have about 40 to 45% chance.
It's not that high. To crit?
No, 10
in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, on average, they built this addition to make it so that in general, if you are a fighter and you build your character correctly, you should be hitting with your first attack on somewhere between about a 7 and a 10.
Right.
So if it's a creature of your level, because your strength is a little lower, it's going to make it a little harder to hit.
Right.
But it means that most likely, once he's got everything set up, he's probably only going to need a 17, maybe an 18 or so to crit, and getting all that extra damage. And we're not even talking about the fact that you get extra damage when you make your weapons magical.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to go into in this video.
Right.
But the reason for that basically means that his charge is going to hit ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I didn't go for that idea. The reason I took the cat is because my plan is for us to flank. The cat gets an extra d4 damage on the flank, and we both get the additional
Right.
plus to hit, and I'm also making it so that I don't take as many minuses. So once I'm getting into combat and everything's done, I'm looking at 5 attacks around,
Right.
3 from me and 2 from my pet. And I should hit with 4 of those 5 attacks, which is the reason why, although my attacks don't do as much damage as yours,
Right.
they have a much higher chance to hit.
Right. And because I was utilizing certain skills to help me on the charge aspects, I still wanted the flanking ability, and that's why I went with the Velociraptor, whose natural ability is it chooses to flank it all the time. So it can move up to 10.
It counts as being 10 feet, up to 10 feet away from where it is for the purposes of flanking.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting a medium creature and you're standing next to each other, it can count as being on the other side of that creature,
Right.
giving both of you the flank. And the flank makes it so you get that extra +2 to hit.
Exactly.
Or it makes them count as flat-footed.
Right.
So that's our level 6 feat, and that's basically what our builds are doing here.
Right.
So level 8, I'm pretty sure we went a little different again. What is your level 8 ability?
My level 8 ability is, I believe, Warden Boon.
Warden Boon. This is a really good one. I thought about taking it.
Yeah, it's by pointing out vulnerabilities, you grant the benefit listed in Hunt Prey and your Hunt Edge benefit to any ally until the end of the next turn.
So what this would do for him is make it so that you can use your Hunt Prey. You use an action to give another ally that extra D8 damage for their next attack, or for their first attack that hits against that enemy until the enemy's dead. It's not just the next one.
Right.
It's for the remainder of that creature being alive.
And remember, your companion is your ally.
Well, no, actually, you don't need to do that. The companion automatically gets your bonuses from the Hunter's Edge. You don't even need that to give it to your ally, to your pet.
So it makes it even better. I can give another individual.
Oh yeah, you would give it to another person. Under the Animal Companion, it specifically states that it gets your Hunter's Boon. So my cat, when it gets its 2 attacks, will be attacking at full bonus and only -2.
Right.
And because it will be flanking, most likely, it means that it's really attacking at +2 and then +0.
Right.
Which means that's most likely going to hit pretty often.
Yeah.
And its crit chance is going to be pretty damn good.
And because I went with the damage, my Velociraptor will do a D8 extra damage on its first attack.
Yeah, which means that if the raptor hits, his raptor is going to be doing 3d8. Now, finally, at level 10, we've got two real things to discuss. First is our stat change, and then second is our class ability we took. Again, the class ability is going to end up being the same.
So at level 10, I went with 16 strength. I already have the 18 dex, the 18 con, and 16 wisdom, 14 intelligence, 14 charisma.
Right. So he has a balanced stat line.
Yeah.
None of his stats are below a 14.
No.
Which means that everything is going to be pretty good to be able to work with. That is a very good build, and I think that it works very well. But it's not what I went with. I went with more of a standard build for this.
Right.
So I still have a 10 strength. It's actually the only stat I left at 10. I now have a 20 dex, so that extra +1 to hit and damage is in there. 16 con, because hit points are good. I still left with the 14 intelligence, because I wanted to raise my charisma, so my charisma is now going to be a 12. And I'm planning on multi-classing probably into druid, so I need to keep raising that wisdom up. So my wisdom is now up to a 19.
Right.
Finally, we need to talk about what we took for 10th level.
Yes.
Well, since we're both animal companion characters, what we took at 10th level is...
Incredible Animal Companion.
Incredible Animal Companion gives you the ability to level your animal up again. Your animal becomes one size category larger again, so it becomes large. By this point, it now has expert in its base attack, in its attacks with unarmed strike.
Yeah.
It's got expert in unarmored defense. It's at least going to be an expert in one of its skills, if not possibly a master. I think actually I have master stealth on mine.
Right.
And it gains bonus damage. It gains even more bonus stats. But one thing that we may have differed on here is what version we went with.
Right.
Because we can choose to go at this point with either being a nimble animal or a savage animal. The savage animal adds more damage, but gives you more of a bonus to strength. The nimble animal gives you more bonuses to dex. Both of our animals have the ability to attack with dex or strength.
Right.
So I know I chose nimble because it gives bonuses to stealth, and it makes it so that my cat actually has a higher dex than I do. My cat at level 10 has a 22 dex.
Yes, equivalent. I went with the savage because that first round damage is important. So the strength increase gives you the better bonus to the overall damage aspect, and because I'm planning. So
a little bit of a video error. We're restarting from where it left off. And Boris has made a realization.
Yes, that actually the Velociraptor is a dex base, so nimble is better than savage.
Yeah. Even though actual damage-wise, it's the same, because the savage increases damage by unarmed attacks by 3 instead of 2. So therefore, it would make it so that the actual damage would be the same. But there's no reason not to use dex when you can, because armor class is a thing.
Yes.
So that's our build. The last thing that we want to say is I like my build. It's very traditional. It's more of a regular style, but it's still something I would play, and it maximizes your ability to use your actions.
Right. And I'm into always having something weird and unique, and I think this is weird enough and unique enough, especially if you're facing an army or a unit of orcs, and here comes a gnome charging on a velociraptor with a lance. You'll get at least role-playing entertainment.
And that's the important part, being entertained, both for the audience, in case that's going to be the case, or for yourselves.
Yeah.
I like his build. I like my build. This is not the build I would play if I was going to make a ranger. I would play something, I would probably use a crossbow ace, probably still have an animal companion, but I would have a crossbow ace because I like the build. But there's so many different builds available to you. You don't have to go animal companion. It's just very combat and action efficient.
Right.
So, if you like this video, comment. If you like either of our builds, both of our builds, neither of our builds, comment. If you want to see us do this again, pick a class. Say what kind of thing you want us to do.
Please comment.
Comment. And if you don't want to comment,
don't comment.
Then don't comment.
But please subscribe.
Either way, like and subscribe.
And hit that notification button that I'm sure you've heard in every single video you watch on YouTube. But please do it. Thank you.